You know, in the world of gamefowl, there are certain names that just carry a different kind of weight. And right at the top of that list is Hatch. We're not just talking about a bloodline here. This is a foundation. It's a symbol of pure power and that unshakable gameness that became the trunk for some of the most legendary branches the sport has ever seen. So let's get into it. Let's really break down this family tree and see how it all grew.
And we're kicking things off with a quote that honestly tells you everything you need to know about the mindset here. This isn't a hobby, it's a world of ruthless selection. It's about performance above all else, where only the absolute best, the most proven warriors get to pass on their genes. It really sets the stage for the kind of world we're about to explore.
All right, so where do we even begin? Well, you have to start at the source, right? The trunk of this incredible tree. We're talking about the original Hatch bloodline, the one developed by pioneers like Sandy Hatch and J.D. Hatch. These guys weren't just creating a line of birds, they were setting the gold standard for what a gamefowl was supposed to be.
So what was in that original blueprint? Well, this slide breaks it down. Think of it like the core ingredients for a legend. You've got that raw, explosive power. You've got exceptional toughness. And then you have that crucial element, deep gameness. And that term, gameness, is everything. It's that relentless, unshakable will to win, the absolute refusal to quit no matter what. This was the DNA of a champion.
Okay, so you have this powerful trunk. What happens next? The first two major branches start to grow, and they're crafted by a couple of master breeders, Ted McLean and E.W. Gilmore. Now, these guys didn't just copy the original, oh no. They took that amazing foundation and started to refine it, each with his own unique vision of what perfection looked like.
And here you can see just how different their approaches were. On one hand, you've got Ted McLean. He was all about balance. He brought in Cooney blood for that legendary cutting ability and jumper blood for smarts and stamina. On the other hand, E.W. Gilmore wanted a tactical genius. He used jumper for the brains too, but then added white apple for pure, blistering speed and claret for surgical precision. So you've got two geniuses taking the same base material down two totally different paths to victory.
So what did McLean's vision create? A perfectly balanced fighter. The McLean Hatch wasn't just strong, it was smart, it was adaptable. But look at that last point, a versatile cornerstone. This is so important. It's why the McLean became such a legend. It wasn't just a phenomenal fighter on its own, it was the perfect genetic toolkit for other breeders to use to improve their own lines. It was a true game changer.
And in the other corner, you have the Gilmore Hatch. These guys earned a reputation for being the strategists, the thinkers of the pit. They were prized for their tactical minds. A Gilmore wouldn't just overwhelm you with brute force, it would outmaneuver you, combining that classic Hatch power with calculated, intelligent moves. So if the McLean was the incredible all-around athlete, the Gilmore was the grandmaster chess player.
All right, so from those first huge branches, things start to get even more specialized. Now we're looking at two lines that took those Hatch genetics and just pushed them to the absolute extremes. One was this incredible masterpiece born from community collaboration, and the other was the product of one man's singular, relentless vision of pure power.
The story of the Blueface Hatch is so cool because it really was a community project. It wasn't just one guy in a yard. It started with foundational crosses from absolute legends like McLean and Sweater McGinnis. Then guys like Billy Rubble came in and refined it, really locking in that signature Blueface and its aggressive style. And finally, a whole community of breeders, Blackwell, Frost, Akins, they all added their own special touch, tweaking it for more speed, better cutting, more durability. It was a true team effort.
And then there was Bob Bennett. We come back to his philosophy because it defined every single thing he did. For Bennett, it wasn't about pedigrees, it wasn't about names, only one thing mattered. How did it perform in the pit? Period. And that single-minded focus led him to create one of the most feared power lines in the history of the sport.
And this is what's so fascinating about the Bennett Hatch, this incredible duality. Breeders always talked about how in your hand, a Bennett was just calm, cool, manageable. But the moment it was in the pit, it was like a switch flipped. They just transformed. They became these explosive, relentless, single-minded fighting machines. That combination of a stable temperament with absolute ferocity, man, that was invaluable.
They earned a nickname that really says it all, Wreckers, because that's what they did. You see, while a Gilmore might try to outthink you, a Bennett was bred to walk right through you. Their style was all about direct, bone-breaking power. They were made to dominate through sheer, raw force. A perfect living embodiment of Bennett's performance above all else philosophy. So you've got all these incredible foundational lines, McLean, Gilmore, Blueface, Bennett. They became the color palette for the modern breeder.
The next big step in the evolution of the Hatch legacy wasn't about keeping these lines pure. It was all about the art of the cross. This is where the real artistry begins.
And this table shows you exactly how that art works. Breeders weren't just randomly mixing birds. They were strategically combining specific traits. I mean, check this out. You take the raw, wrecking power of a Bennett and cross it with the speed and precision of a Sweater, and boom, you get a fighter with both power and precision. Or you blend the strategic mind of a McLean with the deep, deep gameness of a Roundhead to get a warrior that's both smart and unbelievably durable. This is genetic artistry at its finest.
And you can be sure that the influence of these incredible birds didn't just stop at the American border. The branches of the Hatch family tree have spread all across the globe, adapting to different styles and cementing their legacy in arenas worldwide.
This chart gives you a snapshot of that global reach. Head down to Mexico and you'll find the Hatch lines are prized for their durability in those really demanding long knife competitions. Jump over to the Philippines, the heart of high-stakes derbies, and breeders are using Hatch blood to add that critical punch of power and gameness. And of course, back here in the USA, they are still the cornerstone, the absolute foundation that so many modern lines are built on today.
And all of this brings us to a huge question, a real dilemma that breeders still argue about today. What's the right path? Do you act as a kind of curator, trying to preserve the purity of these historic lines exactly as they were created? Or do you see yourself as an innovator, using them as the foundation to create the next generation of powerful new hybrids?
So I guess I'll just leave you with this final question to think about. What really defines the true legacy of a great bloodline? Is it found in its purity and keeping it unchanged for generations? Or is it measured by its influence, by the countless other great lines it helped to create? It's a tough one, and there's probably no single right answer.